Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to discuss something that we all experience, I'm sure, but we don't talk about that openly. It is failing at our goals, and I think now as we are all busy preparing for 2025, setting our goals and creating aspirations, it is very important to remember about that we all from time to time fail at our goals. And even though it can feel a little bit shameful to talk about that or even to admit that, I think it is very important and it is totally okay. And today I wanted to share my personal experience with you about how I failed in my goals, but most importantly, what I learned from it and how I changed my goal setting pattern in order to create goals that actually matter. So without further ado, let's discuss it. So as you remember, in 2024, I have created a list of goals, and my oh my, would I want to say that I accomplished all of them? I did not. Although I did pretty good, there are still some goals that I didn't accomplish, and let's take a look at one specific goals. In 2024, I wanted to read 77 books. I've written it down and I was really determined. I created a to-read list. I even created a specific page in my planner dedicated to reviewing the books that I've read. And I was like, okay, I gotta read like at least one book each week and listen to at least one audiobook each 2 weeks or something like that. So I had a plan. But as the weeks went by, at some point I started falling behind. And it happened quite naturally. Actually, what got in my way is my life. Work, unexpected personal issues or health issues. I traveled a lot. I had some other arrangements. So naturally, I just couldn't fit in that much reading into my life at some point, because it has not become the priority. So by the end of the year, instead of 77 books, I've only read 50, including the audiobooks that I listened to. And when I realized that I am falling behind my original goal, I actually felt quite terrible, I would say. It's not that great of a feeling realizing that you're failing at your goal, that you are not capable to do. And reading books is not that hard of a task, you know? So I was feeling really shameful and terrible about that, and well, this just didn't feel right. So I did a lot of thinking and sulking and just, analyzing what went wrong and what can I do about it, and I recovered and came out as a beautiful phoenix, reborn and, well, ready to do something about that. So first of all, I analyzed what went wrong, and number one on the list was the fact that I need to admit it, I have created an unrealistic expectation. Trying to read 77 books while juggling all other goals and aspirations and things that I want to do in my life was, well, honestly, way too much. So basically, I think I have set myself for a failure without realizing it. And just for a second, let's step aside. And if any one of you is thinking right now that, oh my God, I can tell the same thing about any of my goal, and well, why create goals at all? Well, this is the whole point that we have discussed previously in one of my videos about creating goals that are actually valuable and mindful. So please spend several minutes of your life watching it if you're curious about that, because this is not the topic of this video. The topic of this video is about failing, understanding that failing is okay, and learning from it. So let's go on. Second thing that went wrong is, well, basically a decision about the goal. So I remembered a year ago when I was creating that goal, I was thinking about, what I was thinking about? That 77 is a pretty number. So there was basically nothing behind it apart from the fact that I wanted to read, and 77 is a pretty number. So how good of an emotional connection or a base it is for a goal? Again, this sounds like something that can prepare yourself for failure, because there is no real why behind it. Again, no emotional connection. That means that at some point when you're reading and reading and reading, you're gonna ask yourself a question: why do I do it? Just for the sake of beautiful number? Who needs that? Like, who wants that? If it is just for a number, I can buy the teeniest books ever created by humanity and read them in a second, and what would I feel great about it? I would not, because again, there is no why behind this goal. And last but not the least is, of course, a lack of flexibility, because I was determined to read at least one book every week. So if I was falling behind, I would be like, I gotta skip some of the things that I wanted to do initially at the end of the week. I gotta read so that I can accomplish my goal. And then when I was walking around, I would listen to audiobooks constantly. Whilst, for instance, maybe I just wanted to enjoy nature or the life outside or some music, I was like, no, I gotta listen, I got a deadline. So this doesn't sound right also. Now let's talk about how I bounced back, because once I identified these issues, it was clear to me that I was wrong when I was creating a goal and I need to do something about it. And of course, redefining my goal setting pattern, that again I talked about previously, helped a lot. But let's now talk about some of the major things that helped me transform this particular goal for 2025. First one is redefining success. I shifted from simply a number of books to the quality of books that I read. And this is probably the most important shift that I did, because I want to read more mindfully. I want to read about things that interest me, or the books that were advised to me by people I care about and I trust them to give advices and things like that. So I'm more mindful about what I read, and also I'm more mindful about how I read. It's not about the speed of reading, it's about the quality again, because I read mindfully, I read some of the literature regarding the book, or something about the geography or the history of the place where the action in the book is happening, so just being a bit more mindful already helps a lot. And also remembering what I like to read about. For example, I love history and I love architecture, I love adventure and I love mystery. And now I build my reading list around that, and I read and I enjoy reading, and I take out something from me, which is way more important in the end. Next thing, I started to create more flexible plans. So it's not like one book every single week or something like that. It's more about the amount of hours I try to read every day here and there, because I have my routine and I know exactly when I'm available for reading. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna read at least 1 hour every single day, and I'm gonna do it mindfully and I'm gonna enjoy it, and the rest of the day is just the way it goes. I might read instead of scrolling or procrastinating my life, but this 1 hour nobody's taken away from me, unless there is some emergency or personal things coming up, and then this is totally fine. So again, this helped a lot. Next thing is reconnecting with my why, and I think it has somehow got itself included in point 1 and 2. Reconnecting with my why, meaning building this emotional connection. Reading books just for the sake of it just doesn't work for me. I don't want to brag about the number of books that I've read. It doesn't make any sense. This is not a good motivation for me. Maybe for somebody it works, and this is totally fine. I'm not trying to be judgmental, but for me it's not enough. So instead, I want to read about something that can make some change in my life, make me think, make me reflect, something a bit deeper. So this is my why right now, and this is how I choose books. And of course, the most important thing we all need to remember is self-compassion, because failing a goal doesn't mean that you are a failure. And we all need to remember that. Actually, failing a goal is something awesome. And I think I talked about that in my perfectionism video, because failing, of course, means that you have tried and you did something instead of just not doing anything at all. So we all need to remember that failing is great, but we gotta learn from our failures, not get ourselves stuck in a mindset where we're just like, oh my God, I'm a loser, I cannot do anything, blah, blah, blah. Learn from it and evolve from it. This is the most important lesson anybody can learn from failing any goal at all. So this brings me to what I learned part of this video, with some major takeaways from my experience, where first of all is failure is feedback. So as I mentioned, missing my goal taught me what doesn't work for me and why, and it made me improve and learn a lot about myself on the way, which I think is one of the greatest, again, takeaways. Next thing is to always remind yourself that progress over perfection. Even if you don't accomplish your goals, every step counts. Every step takes you closer. And you know what they say? You can't always get what you want, but if you try, sometimes you get what you need. And I think this is a motto that is, one of the greatest quotes ever. And we need to remember about that. Just be a bit more mindful and analyze what you're doing along the way. Learn something from yourself, and well, I think we're all gonna be fine. And in the end, remember that goals are not a rule book. It's more of a guide. And it's okay to adjust. It's okay to be flexible. It's okay to live your life and again, adapt as it goes. So this is totally fine. So if you ever felt like failing a goal, I hope this video helps you a little bit just to get your mind around it. And remember that this cannot be an excuse to failing everything, but this can be an idea for you to analyze why you fail, what is going on, and maybe reconsider some of your goals. Maybe make a list shorter, maybe be a little bit more mindful. If you really want to achieve your goals, of course, there are a lot of things that contribute to it. And that includes the correct goal setting, the discipline, the tracking, and whatever it is. But I still do believe that failing at your goal can be one of the biggest parts and major contributors in, well, making your life better and making you a more dedicated person, someone who is achieving a lot. And guys, I hope all of your goals are accomplished and you enjoy the ride and you get a lot of nice takeaways and you, well, just enjoy the process and have a lot of fun in accomplishing your goals. And with that, I'm leaving you and I'll see you next time. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.